Hey there. So today I want to talk about our practice as a filter on karma, a karmic sieve, a mechanism for altering the future. So what do I mean by that? Well, two things. Buddha says, and many other people say, that we are what we consume, whether that's the food that we use to nourish the body, or whether it's the content of the information that comes in to the brain. Books, music, social media, interactions, conversations, the things that our mind, that we are occupied with, are the things that the mind gravitates towards. It's almost common sense, like so many of the profound truths of the practice and of the Dharma. And then the second point that is on my mind this week is that we derive the benefits or we suffer the outcomes of our actions. We are perpetually living through the consequences of our actions. And those actions, there's a lynch point between those two. Those actions are derived from the thoughts. And those thoughts are determined in great degree by the input, some of which is chosen content we put in, and some of which is the unfolding of previous moments through the linchpin of the dynamic of thought turning into action. And then our current moment is the fruition of those previous moments. I think this is why Sam Harris has so much to say about free will, or rather the lack of free will, because at any point what we are is an accumulation of thoughts and phenomena and experiences, every one of which is derived from the previous constellation of thoughts, emotions, filters, ideas. There is no point at which consciousness arrives and says, I will do this, where that could possibly be different from the unfolding of the previous. Now, where I think there's a nuance to this, or a useful clarification, is that that karmic unfolding can be modified or will be altered through practice. If I am chanting, or if I am reading and reflecting on the Dharma, I think those are special conditions that act as a micromesh on the actions and their consequences from the past. If I am meditating and concentrating on my breath, if I am practicing concentration practice, a bit circular there, but if I'm focused on my breath, I am, to the degree and stability of my concentration, participating in the karmic unfolding of the previous moment very differently from the unfolding if I were not practicing. And this is a mechanism that can perhaps ameliorate or certainly modify the unfolding characteristics of the previous moment. So if my current moment is essentially a consortium of physical experience, mental activity, framed within a concept of a self, that concept of self becoming more or less relevant depending on the degree to which I am absorbed in my practice at a given moment. If I am absorbed entirely in the concept of self, I am entirely driven by the unfolding manifestation of the previous moments, the karma. If I am furthered from myself because of my concentration practice, or because of my open sky practice, or because I am in some way engaged with the Dharma, then the characteristics of the previous moments that subsume themselves into the future, like plate tectonics. Isn't that right? Subsume, isn't that what happens? A plate goes under, causes the mountains to erupt. Perhaps the present moment is like orogeny, the mountainous orogeny, the orogeny, which I believe is the formation of mountains through plate tectonics. The appellation orogeny is a great title, to be a great title for a piece of music. Maybe I'll set myself that task for the next one of these. Is I'll go up into my studio, turn on my synth modules, and create a piece from the heart called the appellation orogeny. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write a note right now. Appellation orogeny. And so perhaps it's an interesting metaphor for the relationship between the karma of the previous moment and the unfolding of the current moment. And the degree to which I am furthered from the concept of self, the purer the flow of wholesome, beneficial factors of enlightenment that move through into the moment. So those are my thoughts for today, this sort of linchpin between the content that we put in, right? And it's worth controlling that. I struggle, like I think many of us do, with the garbage that I deliberately put into my own brain. And then I wonder why my meditation is distracted, or why I make poor decisions around nutrition, or unwholesome activities of any kind, because I've poured a bunch of, like a funnel of garbage. Focus on the Dharma instead of on garbage, and then allow the practice to filter the moment, and start to enjoy some of the fruits of the practice, some of the health and well-being, some of the sort of satisfaction and joy that comes from the unworldly pleasure of the practice. Anyway, a little bit shorter today, but please leave a comment, question, subscribe, share, etc., etc. Channel here is still mostly split between these shorter practice videos and then my longer videos on music theory. I know that's a bit of a weird mix. I'm figuring out a way to combine the two. There's an interesting Venn diagram of the community here. I think right now it's still maybe 80% people interested in Olivier Messiaen and the work I'm doing reading through that material. If you're here because of the Dharma and you don't know the music of Olivia Messiaen, go check out some of those other videos because they are, it's a compelling case in music and spirituality. Anyway, that got me over 10 minutes. So have a good one. Keep your wits about you.